Hello everyone, welcome to Zaref Game Dev. In this video, we are going to create the They Need to Be Fed game in Unity. So it's another 2D platformer game, and we are going to create in Unity. So in this video, what we are going to do is import the assets, and we'll try to create the basic buttons, the main menu scene, and all the things which do not require much coding, which are just going to be the starting panel, which shows the button for the play and the quit, and the how to play scene, which is just going to have some images. So right now, we have an new Unity project opened up. It's named They Need to Be Fed, and that is a sample scene. Now let's create a new scene, and the first scene we are going to call it as the main menu scene, and let's delete our sample scene, so we are not going to need it. Now let's change it to full HD, and for the main camera, for the colors, let's import the swatches which are going to be inside my assets. So I'll just bring my folder from assets to editor. So now if I set the color for it, I should be able to get my color swatches. So as you can see, we have a bunch of different colors. So I just used it for having some like not different color scheme. So that's the white color. For now, let's edit the main menu later. Let's create all the folders we are going to need. So the next folder is going to be a resources folder in which we are going to have all of our sprites. And then we are going to have the prefabs folder. And next up, we are going to have scripts folder, which is going to include all of our scripts. And after that, let's add a text mesh pro, which will install the text mesh pro inside our scene. Now after we have everything installed, let's go inside resources and let's bring all of our resources first. So for the resources, everything is just images, and let's first bring our sounds. So inside resources, let's create one more folder for audio, and I'm going to import all my audio inside this folder. So after that, you should have all the audio files imported. And next we are going to import the background images. So let's create a new folder and we'll call it BG, and this is going to be a sprite. So currently we are just going to use one sprite, but it has so many of them. So let's change the pixels per unit to 32 and the wrap mode to repeat, and this is going to set up our default settings for the sprite. And after having that, let's delete our text. After having our background, we are going to have a couple more sprites for our character and our items. So let's create one more folder and we'll call it character. And inside our character, we are going to have our character sprites, and this ones are 32 by 32, and the not the wrap mode, the filter mode is going to be point. Now this two of them are going to be multiples, so we'll apply the multiple and we'll edit the sprites. And inside our slice, instead of automatic, we'll go by cell size, and every cell size is 32 by 32. Let's slice it and let's apply it. So we just change this single sprite to a sprite sheet which has a 32 by 32 cell size. So I cannot. So this is our sprite editor, and we'll just click slice. That was a default setting, and this is going to slice our second sprite also. Now let's close this sprite editor. So we added our character sprites. There are going to be sprites for our items. So let's create a folder, and here we'll add items. And for the items, it's going to include all of our UI and all that stuff. So some of them may be 32, 32, 16. Let's just diamond again. This one's going to be 128. Let's have all of them at 100 only. When we need it, we'll change it. And after that, there's going to be a materials, which is just going to have the materials for our fonts. So let's add our materials, and we'll first add our font, and after that we'll go inside the text mesh pro font asset creator, and we'll add this font, and we'll create a 1024 by 1024 font, and let's generate font alias, and after we have generated, we'll just save it, and we'll need a different instead of rendering mode smooth, we need to set it to raster, and let's apply, and let's save this font, and it's going to be inside the same folder, but uh, for yeah, I think that should be it. Now after we have created our font, there is going to be one more folder for the physics material, and finally last one for our UI, which is just going to have a couple of buttons. So let's create one more folder, and we'll call it physics material, and inside let's create a 2D physics material. So let's go inside 2D physics material 2D, and we'll call it normal. Bounciness of 0 and friction for zero point 0.4, let's have it as the default value. And finally, let's create a folder for the UI, which is going to include all of our buttons. And this are just going to be our back and all of those buttons. Now, after we have added all of our resources inside our scripts, we'll create a couple of folders too. So the first one is going to be for the managers. And after having our managers, it's going to have different scripts for the main menu. And let's create folder for the main menu. Then we'll have different folder for our player, and for our obstacles or platforms. Unity's font size is smaller, so if you can't see it, sorry for that. And there's going to be one more folder for our how to play. It's just going to have just one script, but it would be better if we just put it inside in a new folder. And finally, the last ones are the scriptable objects for the level. And these are just going to be the default folders. Now we have our almost everything set up. Now inside our scenes we have our main menu. So let's create the default layout for our main menu. So let's set up our canvas first, and let's add the main camera. Ordering layer is going to be 1, which is going to be on the top. Maybe you can set it to 2, and we'll set it to scale with screen size, and let's set to 1920 by 1080, and everything else is going to be similar. Now after having that, we are going to need a main menu manager and an audio manager. Now both of them are going to have a scripts which is going to be inside our manager script. So we'll create our main menu manager script and our audio manager script. So our audio manager, let's add both of the scripts. Let's reset its transform first. And for our main menu manager, we'll add the main menu manager script, and our audio manager, we are going to attach our audio manager script. Now our audio manager is going to have a music source, and it's going to attach audio source component. And for the clip, let's use the default street low, decrease the volume, which is going to be half, and let's set the loop to true, and let's duplicate this music source and we'll call it effects. Now this are just going to be the basic scripts. Well, let's first create an empty, and we'll call it main panel, and this one is going to show whenever we open our scene. So this is going to be main panel, and inside our main panel we'll first attach a background, and it's going to have an image component. And for the image, let's just use our pixel image, and let's edit our settings for our pixel image, which is going to be inside the items. So one, wrap mode, filter mode to point, and clamp, repeat, doesn't matter, whatever it may be. And let's apply. So now if we change its size to 1920 by 1080 and white, so let's fill up the whole screen, and then we'll set its color to white. So this is going to be our background, and our background is going to have 3 more backgrounds. So let's create the first one, and we'll call it BG1, and it's going to be positioned at -640 and 270, and its size is going to be 640 by 5, and again it's going to have an image component attached to it, and the image we are going to use is a BG1 image, and the currently that native size is higher. So 640 by 540, I mean it doesn't matter. Let's go inside our scene. We'll duplicate this BG1 and name this to BG2, and this one is going to be positioned at 0, and for the image we'll use the second one, and finally for the third one, which is going to be positioned at 640, we are going to use the brown one, and at the center instead of the green, let's use the yellow or the pink. And let's change the settings for all of our backgrounds. So let's set the pixels per unit to 128, and inside all of this, instead of sliced, we'll set it to tiled. And let's have the green. Yeah, it's 3.5. And this one is going to be silver. After having that, we are going to have a title text, and the title text is just going to say they need to be fed. And let's set its settings. So it's going to be 1920 by 128, positioned at positive 384. The It's going to be bold, positioned to the center. The color is going to be a white color, FA, and the size is going to be 128 and capitalized. And the font we are going to use our this one. And let's increase the character width to 15. And currently it's a little bit not pixel perfect, so let's go inside our font. The character used for font asset doesn't matter. Underline, where is underline? So if it comes again, we'll do something about it. So for now, let's have it at the center, and which is going to be inside our font materials. Baseline, minline, line height, scale, no need. Dynamic, sampling point size, red and apply. So let's set it to 180. Let's add a little bit higher, 300. Maybe it was padding dynamic. Take dynamic atlas render mode, raster, and apply. Okay, so it was supposed to be raster and it fixed. And I don't know if just setting it to 100 be more than enough. And nah, set it to 50 sampling point size. Don't know how it works, but this looks good enough. Now, after that, we are going to have two more buttons. So for the buttons, let's first create an image. So let's go into UI and image. And the first button which have is the play button. And for the play button, we'll need to edit our button first. So let's go into UI, and for our button, let's go inside our sprite editor, and this one is going to be at 60, and right's also going to be at 60. And let's set to apply and wrap mode to mesh full rect, and let's apply. And for the play, let's add our button, and we'll set the color to be the black color, and the button size is going to be 512 by, and it's going to be positioned at negative 128. So this is going to be our play button. Let's duplicate this button, and this one's going to be our quit button. Now, similarly, for our quit button, it's going to be positioned at -384, and both of them are going to have an animator component attached and a button component attached. And we'll need to create the animator component first. And our main menu manager has the main menu manager script, and let's attach text to both of them. So let's create a UI text mesh pro, and let's select both of them, fill it to top, and we'll just first get the play, set it to auto size, position to the center, character to 10, and the font to our M6, and maybe we'll need 25. So that was our text, and for the quit, it's going to call quit. So our basic starting scene is finished, and there's going to be one more button, and that's going to be for the sound button. And let's add an image component, and our image is going to be circle, which is going to have a color black, 28 by 128 from the left, and let's set it to 128 by 128, and the color is going to be black. Now it's also going to have a button component attached. How much time is it? Okay, it's already 20 minutes. Doesn't matter. Hmm. So, uh, it had the button component attached. We'll add one more image, which is going to be its sound image. So we should have the sound part, and its size is going to be 80 cross 80. And after that image, we are going to have an active image, which is going to be just a simple pixel, and its size, it's going to be 16 cross 128, and its rotation is going to be -45. And for the image, we'll use our pixel image, so it doesn't mess up much. And by default, it's not going to be sliced or whatever you like. So this is just our default main menu scene. And after we have created our main menu scene, we'll need to create the play and the quit. So let's create one more empty, which is going to be our stage panel. And let's duplicate the stage panel. And this one is going to be level panel. So when we click on play, our stage is going to show up. So both are fixed. And inside our main menu manager, we'll also need to create the audio manager script. So let's first create the quit script, and the quit is a little bit smaller. So let's decrease its size by 64. It was a little bit smaller, that's why I decreased its size. So let's create the functions for our sound button. And for that, we are also going to need a couple of scripts. So inside our manager script, we are going to need a constant script, and this constant script I am just going to copy paste it, because there are just a bunch of variables with names which we are going to use. Now let's create a function for the main menu manager to play the game, quit the game, and we'll need to create the audio manager which will toggle the sound. So let's first did you also create the how to play script? So Unity. So let's go inside our managers and let's create a how to play script. And let's open everything. Side. Where did it go? How to play. So inside our how to play script, there's just going to be public void go to main menu, and here I didn't change to Visual Studio. So there's the how to play script. So here we'll just do Unity engine, public class, public void, Unity engine. Okay. Maybe I'll need to open it again. Let me open it again. So let's open the how to play script, and it should open up with the default assembly settings or whatever you call it. Now, view solution explorer. Okay, now we have, so inside our assets, scripts, and how to play, we have our Unity engine dot scene management dot scene manager dot load scene. So now Visual Studio is working fine. So let's add our constants. So I will just copy paste it from my code. So it's going to have this. So there's data, which is going to be the level name, the main menu, and everything we need. And there's a tags for the diamond, death, and win. And inside our how to play, what we'll do is we'll go inside the constants dot data dot how to play, and not how to play, we need to go inside the main menu, and let's see how it is named, main menu. And that's what the name of our main menu scene was, and so it is loaded. We need to add the main menu scene in the default scene. Now that was our constants and how to play. Let's go inside our main menu manager. Now inside our main menu manager, again we are going to have so many things. So let's create a serialized field first, and what should we add? So let's get a public static main menu manager instance, and it's going to be a get and private set. So it is public, so it is going to be similar. Now inside our awake, we'll just do instance is equals to this. Now after that, we are going to have the serialized field private game object, and the first is the main panel. Then we have the stage panel, level panel, and the active sound button. Mm, Private animation clip, and this one is going to be the click clip, which is going to be played on our both of our buttons. And let's create a serialized field, and this is going to be private animator, and quit animator, Then we'll have the play animator, and finally how to play animator. So the animator are going to be same, just they are going to be attached on different game objects. Now we'll also need the texts. So the first, so it's going to be private TMP text, T text, and it's going to be levels diamond text, and then we have the stage diamond text, and finally the current stage text, which will, and let's create a private image. We'll need to do using Unity Engine.UI. So this one is going to be the background image. So let's call it BG image. And after that, public int, and this one is going to be for the current stage. And it's going to have a getter and a setter. Now inside the getter, what we'll do is return player prefs dot getInt, and we'll get the constants dot data dot current stage, and two. Inside the setter, instead of returning and instead of setting, we'll set the value to our current stage. And let's go inside our awake. So main panel dot set active to true, and our stage panel dot set active to false, and our level panel dot set active to false. And after that, let's we'll also need to create a integer for the diamonds. So let's set public and diamonds get and private set. So the diamonds is going to be player prefs dot hash key constants dot data dot diamonds, and then we'll get the integer value, else it's going to be 0. Now after having our diamonds, we'll also need to get the sound. So for the sound, so let's first check if it has the sound, constants dot data dot sound. So if it has the sound, then we'll get it. Else will by default will set it to true. So by default it is on, and we need to check if it is on. So it is 1, and we'll do active sound button dot set active sound. So if the sound is 1, that means it is true. Okay, so it is showing the active sound button. It's going to be shown only if the sound is muted. Now, after that, inside our start, and public void, click the play. So inside the game quit, I game quit and I click the play. So let's first create the game quit. So it is going to be a routine. So let's create a private enumerator, and this is going to be a I game quit. So it's going to be an enumerator for game quit. And inside our I game quit, let's first create anim time, which is going to be click clip dot length. And what we'll do is put animator dot play, and we'll play our clip dot name. So after it will play, we'll here return new, wait for seconds, and we'll wait for the animation time. And after that, if we are inside the Unity editor, then we'll do Unity editor. And let's do hashtag and if else application dot quit. If we are inside the Unity editor, then we'll call Unity editor. Let's so Unity editor dot editor application dot is playing to false, and it's going to only work only if we are inside our Unity editor, and else we'll use application dot quit, and here we'll use end. So this quit the game, and what it will do here, start coroutine, and we'll call the I game quit coroutine. And similarly here we'll call the I click the play coroutine private enumerator. Now what's going to happen inside the I click to play? We are going to show our stage panel. So let's copy this, and instead of quit animator, it's going to play for the play animator. And after that, first thing we are going to do is main panel dot set actor to false, and our stage panel dot set active. And after that, we also need to show the stage diamonds text dot text is going to be x plus diamonds dot toString. And for now we'll comment it so it does not show any errors. And these are the functions for the game code and the gameplay. And finally you also need to set up our audio manager, and the audio manager is also going to be simple, and maybe I should doesn't matter. Let's delete this first, and system Unity engine we also need using Unity engine dot UI, and public static audio manager is get, and let's create a serialized field. audio source, and first one is going to be for the music source. That source, it will take an hour, maybe more. Already 40 minutes. Yeah, should be an hour. So after we have both of our sources, let's create a serialized field for the private audio clip, and this one is going to be for the click sound. And after that, let's create a private pool for is sound muted, and private pool capital is sound muted. But here we are going to have a getter and a setter, and inside our getter, well, what we are going to do is sound muted is equals to player prefs.ascii, and constants dot data dot setting sound, then we'll get the player prefs dot getInt constants dot data dot setting sound. So if we get it, and we'll check if it is equal to 0. So as it's going to be 0, so it is muted if it is 0, and by default it should not be 0, so instead of 0 we'll set it at 1, and what we'll do is we'll return is sound muted, and inside our set what is sound muted is going to be valued, and player prefs dot setting constants dot data dot setting sound to be the value. And inside our awake, if instance is equals to null, instance is equals to this, don't destroy unload game object, else destroy game object, and we need to return. So I think there is an error somewhere. The unity message start is empty, cannot convert. Value, not value, we need to check if the value is false, then we'll set to 0, and if it is false we'll set to I mean, we can also use sound muted, doesn't matter. And after having that, what we'll do is player prefs dot setInt constants dot data dot setting sound. So if the sound is muted, then we'll set it to 0, else we'll set it to 1. So it's going to always give us some value if it does not have it. And we'll set effect source dot mute is equals to sound muted, and music source dot music to sound. And finally, we'll do music source dot play, and let's create a functions to first add the button sound. So public void add button sounds, and for that let's first get our buttons to find objects of type. We are going to type of button, and buttons dot for int I is equals to 0 buttons dot length buttons of I dot on click dot add listener, and we'll just use a default lambda function. And inside this function, what we are going to do is play sound. So click sound, and we need to create the play sound function. So public void play sound, and here we'll take an audio clip and let's call it clip. And what we'll do is effect source dot play one shot, and we'll play the clip, and finally public void toggle sound. So whenever we are so the value should be set, we just need to do the mute, and similarly so the audio manager is done, and inside our main menu manager start, we'll call our audio manager dot instance dot add buttons. So that should do the trick for all of our steps. Now let's go inside Unity, and the first thing we are going to do is for the main menu manager, we'll add our main panel, our stage panel, and our level panel. And there's going to be the active sound button, the click clip, which will need to create it, the animator also will need to create it, the text also, and finally background image will need it afterwards. Now let's add our music source and our effect source, and finally from our audio we are going to add our click. So the audio manager is set up inside our main menu manager. There should be some problems, so let's create our animator first. So for our animator, we are going to add a UI, and inside our prefabs, we'll create the animator for our button. So it's going to be called animation controller. So where is it? Animator. So animator controller and a slash button, and we'll attach it to our play and our click, and let's open it up. And it doesn't have anything. We need to also have the animation window, and in the default state, the size or the trans scale of our animation is going to go from FAULT. So we have default animation. Let's set the sample size to 30, add property, rect transform, and scale. And it's just going to be a 3-frame animation. So let's just add it 3, and at 0 it's going to be 0.8, and at 1 it's going to be 1. So if we go inside our scene and play the animation, so to show our animation playing, so let's hit play. As you can see, currently looking like this right now. So let's go inside our animator, and let's set its loop time to off. Now we are going to create one more animation. So, and it's going to be button and slash click. Now, what is going to be happening for the click is it's going to go reverse. So let's create a property for our scale. So default and the click. Let's add a property for the scale and let's position that at the third frame, and at the end it's going to be at 0.8. So whenever the button gets clicked, it's going to look like that. Now inside our main menu manager, let's add our play animator, the quit animator, and finally our click clip. And we won't need the rest of them. And that should play our clicks. And to have them played, we need to have the function attached. So let's go inside our main menu manager, and it's going to be click to play. And inside our quit, it's going to be click the quit, or maybe game quit. Now let's hit play and let's fix all of our errors. So the play is working, the sound is also working. We need to set a setting to toggle the sound. All the button sounds were added, and let's see. Yeah, the quit was also working. So the only thing that's remaining right now is adding the function for the toggle sound, which is going to be inside our main menu manager. So let's just add it. It's going to be similar. I clicked. Awake, start, game, quit. So click the play. Public void toggle sound, and inside our toggle sound, the first thing we need to do is get the value, which is going to be our sound. So if the sound is on, sound is going to be not sound, then we'll set player preps dot setting constants dot data dot setting sound to the sound. If the sound is on, then it's going to be set to 1 is 0. And we'll call the audio manager dot instance dot toggle sound because we changed it, so we need to refresh it. And similarly, active sound button dot set active to not sound, which we did at the beginning. So now this should fix it up. And to have it work, we need to similarly attach our main menu manager function to our sound button. So this is our sound button, that's going to be our toggle sound function. And now we should have the basic starting scene setup. And the problem is our toggle sound is not working. Mute. Okay, if it is not, why didn't it work? Audio manager clicking sound is working, but mute is sound muted is true. If it is 0, then it is muted. Okay, we need to have the capital. So that was just a problem with the fields and the properties. Instead of using the property, I use the field. So let's hit play and let's first turn off the sound. And the quit button is working. So that was for the starting main menu. It was almost an hour. I thought it would take, and that was it for this video. And in the next video we are going to create the default the button layouts for the stages and the animations, and we'll create the scriptable objects which are going to store the buttons data. So see you guys in the next video.